Here we go. Hello, Stephanie. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am horrible at taking pictures. I am really bad. I take selfies only when I absolutely have to for the podcast. I do it under protest. I want to know when did you first feel an interest in photography? How did you get started?
Um, so really in high school, but I think like ever since I was a kid, when I was a kid, I liked being like the object. Like I would liked being in the picture, and I remember like loving seeing myself when I was a kid, and I remember like thinking my parents loved me more because there was like more pictures of me than my siblings. But then years later I found out that it was because I really wanted like the school pictures, and then obviously they were displayed. My siblings weren't, they didn't care. So I was like, oh. So I think I really liked being on the pictures. But then in high school, that's when I like really fell in love with photography and film photography. I loved being in the darkroom. I loved like developing the actual film, and then yeah, the pictures. It was just the whole process was just amazing to me.
So
And
you
obviously taking
you know
pictures.
how to do it old school, like, even with all the modern technology, you can still do
Yes,
with the dark room and all of that.
yes, that's how I learned photography. And then when my daughter started kindergarten, I was like, okay, well, what am I gonna do now? Because she's the youngest, and um, I was like, I think I want to try this photography thing. So I had to learn. I have to learn everything, like the digital um, Lightroom and all that stuff. Like I don't do Photoshop. I can a little bit, but it's not really my style. I
Mhm.
try to get everything as good in camera like right away, so like my editing is very limited. I try to just enhance like the colors and like maybe features and stuff like that. Like not like I'm not a retoucher, I would
Mhm.
say. That's like more what I feel is more like editorial and
Mhm.
stuff like that. Like when the skin is perfectly smooth and you take out every, little wrinkle and stuff like that's not my style. I want to like just enhance the beauty of that you already are. So
Mhm.
I feel like I got lost here.
You did good. I love that. I love that you are so detailed with your photographs. I remember when you took pictures of my son. It was just at the school, but you made sure like he was framed by trees and the lighting was perfect. And it's amazing. Your work is amazing.
Thank
I want
you.
to know, what kind of equipment do you have? And I don't mean like list all of your equipment. I just mean like if somebody wanted to know what's the difference between you and taking a picture with their iPhone, like,
Yes.
yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I have a camera instead of the phone camera.
Mhm.
I do think that, I mean, obviously the quality will be better because it's a better, you know, system for taking pictures than
Mhm.
your phone camera. It's limited, but the technology now is like pretty good with your phone. You can take really amazing pictures with your phone if you know how to use it. And I
Mhm.
think that's the key. Like if you know how to use your camera, you can do amazing things. Like there's a lot of different like really skilled photographers that have done comparison to like actual camera equipment, like really high end camera equipment, to like the maybe beginner level. And you can really get really amazing images with something that is like on the low end of like camera equipments. Um, but it makes it like easier to do your job when you
Mhm.
have like maybe the higher end cameras for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
And they can handle the light better and all that stuff. But having a good camera doesn't automatically make you a good photographer. You need to know how to use it. That's the key.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I know
Yes.
there's features on my iPhone I never use. I just point and click and call it a day. So absolutely, absolutely. I get that technique is more than anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You travel to some amazing locations to take pictures, like out in nature, in vineyards, out in the woods. Do you have a favorite spot to take pictures?
Um, yes. Well, I mean, I feel like every new place, especially when I get to like experience new places, I feel like, oh, this is my new favorite spot. And then I get to another place. But one that I feel like it's gonna be one of my absolute top favorite is Sutro Baths in San Francisco. Have
Oh,
you heard about it?
no.
Okay, so it's like the ruins of like the old bathhouse. So, but I can't remember exactly when my father-in-law actually worked at the bathhouse. It's like it was a old school bathhouse where it was like the this like the ocean, like they
Mhm.
made like these swimming pools with the actual like ocean water. But it's
Okay.
like a yes, oh, sorry, I don't know if I should say that,
Oh, you're
but,
good.
but a really big, like, building, but it burnt down, and
Mhm,
that's, like it's the ruins of that, and it's just gorgeous, like, it's amazing, and I love going there, even though, like, maybe you have the same background, but it's always different. It looks
mhm.
different every time, I think, um I love it, and then Tahoe. Going to Tahoe is always fun.
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous there.
Yeah.
How are you at taking pictures on the beach? Like, is the sand too hard on the camera or like is
Um,
it
I mean, sometimes, I mean, you can't really hide from the sun when you're at the beach.
yeah,
So I definitely like going when it's closer to sunset because then the
okay.
lighting is very soft or early. So it's
Mhm,
either very late, closer to sunset, or very early, just before. I mean, just when the sun is kind of coming up.
mhm.
So it's either or.
Okay, that makes
Midday is pretty awful,
yeah.
but you can definitely make it work.
Mhm,
And I would prefer, if you go into the beach, I would prefer overcast any
mhm,
day.
mhm.
So, yeah.
Interesting, interesting. Nature plays a huge part. You have to really pay
But a
attention.
good photographer knows how to pose your, object and
Mhm.
your lighting. So, yeah.
What kind of services do you offer? Because every time I think I get a good handle of what you do, I see you doing other stuff on Instagram, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, she could do real
I do
estate,
everything.
utilities." Yeah. You
I
do
know, like,
everything.
a lot of people say that, you kinda have to niche down,
Mhm.
and it's better if you do, and I'm sure that is the case for a lot of people, but I just love everything, and I don't wanna limit myself to anything. Like, I love doing fun projects, um, so, yeah, I do everything, really, but most of the time, it is family portraits,
Mhm.
weddings,
Mhm.
branding sessions, and I do real estate listings, like the photos that people see on like Redfin or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are branding sessions?
So it's if you are a small business, or you can be a big business too,
Mhm.
or you can be a blogger or something like you're
A
doing.
podcaster?
You
Yeah.
just want content for your social media, your website, and I help you do that.
Oh,
Whatever vision you have, we work together and we make it happen.
that is very interesting to know. I will probably be hitting you up really, really soon for that. I also wanted to know, like, what are some of the obstacles you face as a small business?
Oh, that's a good one because I have been sure, like these last couple of months with the weather being so crazy, it
Mm,
has been hard. And
mm,
not just for me, for a lot of other photographers as well. We've had a lot of reschedules. We have a lot of people that don't want to commit to a session because they're worried about the weather. And they're like, oh, I really want to book with you, but let's just wait. And
mhm,
then you have maybe yeah, the reschedules.
Mhm.
So how I work, and I think a lot of my fellow photographers, they don't charge you. Like, let's say we have a session tomorrow, and then um, it's a snowstorm or whatever.
Right.
I wouldn't charge you. Like, I would obviously just wait till we actually do the session.
Mhm.
Um, but that's money that you lose then. So
Sure.
it's very um, unstable. Like, you know, it's just, yeah, which can be very hard sometimes.
Mhm.
Thankfully, we're not reliant on my income, but it really kind of sucks
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you can't contribute because I don't like not being able to make my own money. So like March and February was very slow for me
Right.
because I had a lot of reschedules. Um, so that's something that is hard. So now I'm like thinking for next year, like what can I do to make some income with my photography that it's not uh you know in like it's not reliable on like the weather.
Right.
So I have to pivot
Mhm.
and see
Mhm.
what I can do. um Marketing yourself is the thing that I struggle with, and
Uh-huh.
I think a lot of small businesses do.
Mhm.
Because I feel like you don't really have the time, but then you don't have the money, the funds to like hire someone else to do it.
Yeah.
And so it kind of like gets on the back burner when you're trying to like do other things, but then you're like, okay, well, if I don't promote myself, then how are new people going to find me? Or even like my old clients that, you know, I mean, life happens and it gets busy, and then you're like, oh, I want photos for this, you know, occasion, but then you forget about it. So I'm like, I need to get better with promoting myself.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Don't we all? That's like the major problem. You figure that out, you let me know.
For sure.
What advice would you give someone who is still trying to find their path? Like if they didn't, fall in love with photography at an early age, what would you
Yeah.
how would you advise somebody that's still trying to find?
I would just say like try like things to see what you like,
Mhm.
and just yeah, like if you don't try new things, you're never gonna like figure out what you want. Like you
Mhm.
can't just sit around doing nothing and then be like, oh, something's just gonna hit me and be like, oh, this is gonna be my passion.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
kind of have to figure out what you like doing and then try it and then
Mhm.
see if that's something that could turn into a passion and then maybe even a business opportunity.
Yeah,
Not
to
every
get something.
passion has to be a business opportunity, but I mean, that would be amazing, right? That's what we all wanna do, just
Reciprocities
get
and
something that
pursuit.
we love, yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
just
I
try
love
new
that. Yeah, getting out of your comfort zone
yeah,
and trying new things is the best way to find your path.
yeah.
That's really good. Where can people find you and get really good pictures?
So, you can find me on most of the time, I'm m more active on Instagram. So,
Mhm,
my handle is at SwedePea.photography,
mhm,
or my website, which is swedepeaphotography.com.
mhm. And it's Swede,
Yeah, yes.
SWEDE.
So
Yeah.
it's Swede, like a Swede from Sweden. Yeah, I'm from Sweden. I forgot to maybe mention that. I should have probably mentioned that too. I
Yeah.
usually start with that.
You were born in Sweden, right?
Yes, I'm born and raised in Sweden.
Mm.
I came to the States when I was 23.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so everyone's like, "Oh, well, I thought everyone was blonde over there." And yes, we do come in all shapes and colors. My mom's from the Philippines, so that's, you know, my dark features.
Beautiful, beautiful. Can you say something in Swedish?
What would you want me to say?
Good morning, and I'm amazing at photography.
God morgon och
Mhm.
jag är fantastisk. på att ta bilder.
Ooh, that sounds
It sounds
so
so
much
weird
better
when
in
I'm, like, trying to
Swedish.
translate it in my head.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show and for explaining all
Well,
about photography, and I need your services so badly. We'll definitely be in touch
I will
soon.
be happy to help you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on here.
Alright, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.